Christmas Day, right? I didn't wake up to catch the start of the Chiefs-Raiders game because I thought there was no reason to turn that game on. I thought that Kansas City was going to annihilate the Raiders like they did the first time they played, but I wake up around 2:30 p.m. Eastern time, and I look at my phone, and the Raiders are up on Kansas City, and I'm like, hold up. What the hell is going on here? I turn the game on, and all of a sudden, the Raiders get a pick six by Jack Jones. Right after the previous possession, Isaiah Pacheco was at quarterback trying to do a read option exchange with Patrick Mahomes at running back. He fumbles or muffs or messes up the handoff. Then one of the big boys for the Raiders scoops it up and takes it for a touchdown. And all of a sudden, the Raiders score 2 touchdowns in like 8 seconds. And the game is completely in the Raiders' favor at that point because they were able to beat Kansas City without completing a single pass after the first quarter. I don't know what's more disturbing. The fact that Kansas City lost to the Raiders or the fact that they lost to the Raiders without them completing a single completion after the first quarter. And it's crazy how people say how Mahomes is such this great quarterback and he makes the players around him better and how he's going to be able to figure it out. How is he going to be able to figure this shit out? This is terrible. Their offensive line is awful. Joe Tooney is cooked. Their offensive tackles are cooked. Jawan Taylor was one of the worst free agency signings of last offseason, and he was a massive overpay. You can't block nobody. The receivers can't get open. Travis Kelce is cooked. Maybe Taylor Swift has cursed this team because ever since Taylor Swift started dating Travis Kelce and she started popping up to the games, this has not been the same Chiefs team that I've been accustomed to seeing over the last couple of years. And this certainly isn't the team that people were calling the next dynasty after they won the Super Bowl last year. Like, you remember how people were trying to say the Chiefs were going to be the next great dynasty? Were they going to be better than the Patriots dynasty with Brady and Belichick? It's crazy how things change in only the span of a couple of months, isn't it? Like, this is really disturbing right now. The fall off of Kansas City has to be studied. You got Patrick Mahomes throwing temper tantrums on the sideline against the Buffalo Bills, talking about something, man, that was a terrible call. I ain't never seen a call like that. Oh, sorry. It's like, I'm glad Josh Allen gave him that look. Like, Josh Allen, when Patrick Mahomes came up and told him that, like, he just gave him that look, like, and gave him that pound on the shoulder, like, I feel you, bro. I feel you. Like, bro, crying on the sidelines and stuff like that. Like, what the hell is going on with Kansas City, bro? Like, this team has fallen off completely. Like, they're going to be one and done in the playoffs easily. Like, who in the AFC right now can you realistically say the Chiefs have a great chance at beating if they match up against them in the postseason? Probably the Broncos. That's about it. Maybe Pittsburgh. But Kansas City's offense is so out of sorts that it's going to be hard for them to make it any further than the wild card round. You see, this is what I've been trying to say for the longest, but a lot of people never listen when it comes to comparing Patrick Mahomes to the rest of the other quarterbacks in the league. The gap in talent between Mahomes and the rest of the other top QBs in the game, such as Lamar, Josh Allen, and Joe Burrow, is not as wide as what people make it out to be. You see, people make it seem like Patrick Mahomes is fucking Superman and he can carry any team, and as long as you got Mahomes, you got a chance. No, you don't. As long as you have Patrick Mahomes and some solid receivers and a solid offensive line around him, then you have a chance. Patrick Mahomes is a great quarterback, one of the most talented quarterbacks to ever play this game, but he can't overcompensate for everything. He can't overcompensate for wide receivers who have no situational awareness. Like, they gave this dude, J.R. Smith, that wide receiver. You know what I call Kadarius Toney? I call this dude J.R. Toney because that's what he is. He's the NFL's equivalent to J.R. Smith. This dude is always doing some goofy stuff, like rather if it's him lining up off sides, having passes go through his hands for an interception, and the dude is talented. I see why they continue to give this dude opportunities. He's too talented to not have him on the field. But it's just, when is he going to be able to put it all together? Travis Kelce is done. Like, he was already mulling over retirement a couple of months ago. I feel he's going to retire after this season. And yeah, he's on pace to get 1,000 yards, but this is nowhere close to the superstar level tight end that we've seen the last 6-7 years in KC with Mahomes. Like Kansas City going into this season, you thought that this year was going to look like what last year people thought it was going to be. When they traded Tyreek Hill, people thought this offense would be as bad as what it is right now. But this season, it's like the roles are reversed. You can't get any big plays downfield. Mahomes isn't playing his best ball. This is probably the worst football that Mahomes has played in his whole entire NFL career. Imagine me telling you that Russell Wilson has a better touchdown-interception ratio than Mahomes. Now, we know who we're taking. Russ or Patrick. We're definitely taking Patrick unless you're drunk. But Mahomes, he's tried to do a little bit too much this year. Sometimes his emotions have gotten the best of him. He hasn't really been the same cool, calm, and collected Mahomes that we've seen in the past. And it's understandable. He's not used to losing. Like, this dude has been a winner ever since he first entered the league. Like, his first season, being the full-time starter, they went to the AFC Championship. They lost to freaking Brady. Like, I can understand the frustrations, but Andy Reid, you got to change some things, man. I think they might just need to go 1970, 1980, go old school. Get underneath center, get a fullback in there, and just run the rock with Isaiah Pacheco. And then they try to get way too cute, way too fancy. What the hell is Isaiah Pacheco doing lining up as your wildcat quarterback or lining up at QB and you're trying to run a read option? And with Mahomes, of all people, being on the recipient of the handoff, like, what the hell does Patrick Mahomes know about getting the handoff at running back? Of course that play was going to be a recipe for disaster. Bro, you lost to the Raiders. You lost to Aiden O'Connell. They didn't even have to throw a pass against you after the first quarter, man. Like, the fall from grace from Kansas City has just come so fast that, I'm going to be honest, I never thought that Kansas City was going to be one of those franchises that every single year they were going to make it to the playoffs. I never did. But I never expected them to just fall off this fast. And for all the people that still think that the Chiefs are going to be able to pull something out of their ass, I'll ask you this. For a quarterback to go deep in the playoffs, what do you need? You need a talented roster and good coaching. You got the coaching down pack, but you don't have the talent. You see, Lamar Jackson has been heavily scrutinized in the past for not being able to get it done in the playoffs, despite the fact that he's never had a team as good as what Mahomes and Burrow have had the past couple of years. Now Lamar has a team, and everybody's putting all the pressure on him to win the Super Bowl. But now Mahomes, all of a sudden, oh, well, the Chiefs just ain't a great team, but they can still find a way. No, you can't find a way. One player doesn't dictate the outcome of a game. You need 11 other good players on your roster. And the Chiefs don't have that on offense. They don't have a go-to wide receiver. They don't have anybody who can create consistent separation. Their best wideout is Rashee Rice, and he's good, but you know, he's still not on the level of being the guy who you can always trust in crucial situations on third downs, and he can be your security blanket. Year 2 is probably going to be the year that Rashee Rice emerges and he breaks out. I mean, Sky Moore, he's injured. He wasn't even good. You traded for Mecole Hardman a couple of weeks ago. What the hell happened to him? Like, the only thing keeping Kansas City alive is this defense. Like, Mahomes has had some really disastrous performances. But this whole sentiment that it's Mahomes, you can never count out Mahomes, like, I never buy that whole argument. I'll never buy an argument that you can never count out Huey McCollum because it's Huey McCollum. I remember Brady's final playoff game against the Dallas Cowboys. I had a friend of mine that betted me $150 that Brady and the Bucs were going to upset Dallas. And I said, fam, are you okay? Why are you doing this to yourself? Why are you giving me free money? You trying to give me a late Christmas present? He was like, nah, bro, like, you tripping, sleeping on Tom Brady. You should never count out Brady. And here's the thing with these narratives when it comes to these great players. Like, people make it seem like great players never have losing seasons. That's why I was trying to tell one of my homies in the offseason, like, bro, the Ravens have a lot of talent this year. So does Joe Burrow when he was healthy. Like, the gap between Mahomes and the rest of the other great quarterbacks in the NFL is not as wide as what people make it out to be. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Joe Burrow, when it comes to talent level, They're not too far off in comparison to Mahomes. And in my opinion, if Lamar wins the Super Bowl, he's the best quarterback in the NFL. No quarterback has the speed, agility, and skill set that Lamar possesses. When Lamar Jackson is on, he's damn near unstoppable. Like, Patrick Mahomes, for him to be able to take Kansas City on the Cinderella playoff run, they're just all of a sudden going to need Kadarius Toney to blossom into what the Giants hoped he would have been when they drafted him a couple of years ago out of Florida. They're going to need Travis Kelce to bounce back to that all-pro form that we've seen out of him the last couple of years. They're going to need a lot of things to change, and it's going to have to happen fast. You see, Lamar Jackson has a talented team. There are other teams in the AFC, like the Dolphins, that have talented rosters. Same thing with the Buffalo Bills. Kansas City isn't going to be able to get carried to the Super Bowl by Mahomes this season with how tough the AFC is. There's just way too much firepower for these boys to be able to match up with. It's a struggle for Kansas City to even get the 21 points, man. Like, who would have thought that Kansas City, out of all offenses, it would be a knife fight for them trying to find 3 touchdowns? They couldn't even get 3 touchdowns against the Las Vegas Raiders, man. Like, this defense is looking all world, and their defense has improved ever since their interim head coach took it over. Got to give him a lot of credit for that, but this is the Kansas City Chiefs, bro. This is Patrick Mahomes. If you can't score 20 on the Las Vegas Raiders and you're Mahomes, what the hell makes you think you're going to be able to do that against the Buffalo Bills or the Baltimore Ravens? Like, this is going to be the first time in Mahomes' career ever that he's going to go into the postseason having to go on the road to play a playoff game potentially, if they even make it out of the wild card round. Like, when you used to go on the road and play Kansas City, it was impossible to get a win. Like, going to Arrowhead was like an automatic L. But now you go to Arrowhead and you got a great chance. Like, I get how great Patrick Mahomes is. I understand you, bro, but we got to stop guzzling Mahomes so much, bro. Like, people ride Patrick Mahomes' dick so much, and it makes no sense, bro. You got to have a good team to be able to be a Super Bowl caliber contender. Having a quarterback makes things easier for you, but even Patrick Mahomes needs a couple of great pieces around him to be successful. That's why I keep saying how dumb this whole Brock Purdy narrative is, that he's the weak link of the 49ers. Like, every great quarterback in the league plays with talent around them. No quarterback wins Super Bowls having a shit team around them with bad receivers, bad offensive line playing, bad coaching. The better the quarterback, the more limitations he can overcome and make up for with his skills. But you still need to have a championship roster around him. And the Chiefs don't have that offensively. They don't have a championship caliber offensive line. They don't have championship caliber wide receivers. And Travis Kelce isn't even good enough where teams even have to game plan to double team him like that anymore. The Chiefs fall off is really disturbing. And I truthfully believe they're going to be a one-and-done team in the playoffs. They may make it out of wild card weekend, but they're not going to go anywhere past divisional round. They make it to the AFC Championship. You'll have to pinch me and ask me if I'm dreaming, because with this offense, the only way they're going to find a way to make it into the playoffs is if maybe they can give Antonio Brown a call, and maybe he can help them out a little bit. And I don't even know if Antonio Brown would be enough. You know, like, he's out there, like, they need a lot of help. You know, they need to go out and call back Tyreek. Maybe if the Miami Dolphins lose in the playoffs, maybe Tyreek could maybe work some magic or something, try to figure out if he could find a way to help Kansas City out on their playoff game. But they need to call some old friends. They need to get an offensive line. They need 2 tackles. They need a new guard. Like, they may need some new plays. Like, every Tuesday, they got something where they put new plays in the playbook. Well, apparently these new plays that these players be cooking up on Tuesdays, they ain't working anymore, bro, because they need to change a lot of things up. I think Kansas City just needs to get back to the basics. I formation, 1970s, 1980s, old school football, smash mouth. We're going to run it down your throat, and we're only going to throw the ball when need be. They don't need to be airing it out with Mahomes anymore, because these receivers are going to let them down every time outside of Rashid Rice.